One Star Cowboys podcast, presented by Haymaker. Now here's your host, Kevin K.T. Turner.
All right, welcome back to the One Star Cowboys podcast. I'm Kevin Turner. We have John Machota and Saad Youssef from The Athletic here. Kent Garrison has turned his back on all Cowboys fans and the rest of the NFL, but he'll be back next week. And we're at the Haymaker Network studios in Frisco, Texas, because we got Cowboys Vikings Sunday night, and I'll be damned. The Eagles and the Chargers on Monday night really both wanted it, but the Eagles wanted it more, and they lost. So the Chargers get the win, and we're alive. John, can you believe it?
I can, only from the fact of that it's been so long since there's been a repeat champion in the NFC East.
Oh, yeah.
And when things like this happen, it just makes me think, well, maybe I shouldn't just assume that it's going to be finally a team to win it back-to-back, no matter how much of a head start that they have. And, I mean, there's no excuse for the Eagles to not win this division. None. There certainly was no excuse for them not to win the division when they were up 21-0 on the Cowboys a few weeks ago. So if they were to somehow not win the division, that would be the turning point for me, is them blowing a 21-point lead against the Cowboys. And so, watching that game, pretty wild. It almost makes you think that that there's some kind of hidden mojo that comes with the NFC East where you cannot win this division back-to-back years.
Yeah, and I think you can look at all the numbers, playoff simulators. We have our own at The Athletic and everything. But I think what a lot of times those things don't account for is how that team is actually playing right now. Because right now, if you tell me they're going to split with the Commanders in their two games, I wouldn't be shocked at that. Even though, the Eagles and the Commanders are a 3-win team, Eagles are top of the NFC East. So they're not going to get they're not going to get a good chance in that from a simulator standpoint. But if they split with the Commanders and then they lose to the Bills and the Cowboys run the table, they're in. And so whatever the percentages say the Cowboys have to the playoffs, I would probably put it a little higher than that. Now, do I think the Cowboys are going to run the table? To me, I have more doubt about that than I do about the Eagles going 2-2.
Yeah, I'm going to run it through the playoff simulator that you were talking about over at The Athletic, which is awesome. But just Cowboys running the table puts them at a 53% chance. Where we stand today, it is an 11% chance. So it's still not likely. And it's also not likely that Max Brosmer, when he started for the Vikings 2 weeks ago, would have had a higher QB rating than Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts did on Sunday. I know it's different weeks, but it's very, very weird. It shows you how odd things are in Philadelphia. I mean, there was a play where Jalen Hurts had 2 turnovers in the same play, which is incredible, and also threw off the Monsters, Inc. broadcast on ESPN, too. I really couldn't follow it. And you guys saw the rabbit, too, the Eagles locker room bunny.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a good vibes inflatable bunny that they put in the locker room, and I don't think that helped anything. There goes a good picture of it for everyone. It was Zach Berman with the tweet there. Yeah, I don't know if putting an inflatable bunny in the locker room is going to help. This is where they need a Mike McCarthy watermelon smash. This is what could really get them going. They do have the Raiders this week, which is always helpful. But we were talking before the show. Saad was mentioning how cold it's going to be in Chicago. This is why the NFL also has another element. We always know about parity and stuff, but when the weather is under 20 degrees in some of these games, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, Washington was a better team with Mariota at quarterback, over the last month than with Jaden Daniels. So it's not crazy. I think the Cowboys could get a lot of help here.
Yeah, I also think something that John has mentioned previously with the Eagles, which is the Jalen Hurts factor, is really weird, because I'm not even talking about the debate on the field about how good of a quarterback he is. Just that stoic kind of, always that guy that's just unbothered. And you think that's a positive when it's clutch time and it's a close game or something like that. But I'm not in that locker room, so I'm not going to speak on how the teammates feel about him and stuff. But I've seen Dak, and Dak is very different than that. He's more even keel in front of the camera with interviews and stuff, but in the locker room, he's kind of he's able to be one of the guys and also kind of have that leadership role. And I wonder if your ultimate leader, the guy that's making the big money, he's the quarterback, and if he's just kind of like that, I don't know how much I don't know if a bunny is able to overcome that.
I think what we're seeing is just what we've pretty much, it's just confirming what we've already known, and that's that the Eagles are very talented. Howie Roseman has put together one of, if not the best rosters in the NFL. But for Jalen Hurts to play at an elite level where he's getting Super Bowl MVP, he's got to have a great defense, and he's most certainly has to have a great running game. And they don't have that right now. And when Saquon Barkley isn't, the offensive player of the year, Saquon Barkley, then there's more on Jalen Hurts' shoulders, and he has shown that that's probably a little bit too much for him. So if he was playing on a different roster, I think it would be more critical, but there's just so much talent on that team. And with the whole league really being so wide open that all they would have to do is get hot, and it wouldn't surprise me if they made a deep run, because of this bunny or because of just strong play, but and it also speaks to just injuries too. I mean, not having Lane Johnson and their offensive line being as healthy as it's been in the past. There's just a lot of things that went into them winning the Super Bowl last year. A lot of very fortunate breaks that you got to have the talent, don't get me wrong, but you also got to be healthy at the right time and playing your best at the right time. And that's not this year's team.
And also, I think we talked about this with Pickens, where a lot of the things, the good or bad, they kind of come with the result of the game. And, Hurts ends with 4 interceptions, 5 turnovers total. If A.J. Brown catches that touchdown in the end zone down the left sideline, Hurts doesn't throw that 4th interception in overtime, the Eagles might win the game, and all of a sudden it might be a different conversation even just for this week. And so I think there's a lot of that as well where, like John said, it wouldn't shock me if they turned it on and went on a run, but it doesn't look like it's coming right now.
And also shout out to Dicker the kicker. Pretty clutch there. If you look through, though, the other machinations to get the Cowboys into the playoffs, still alive, sniffing around in the hunt. We all know the Cowboys are usually on that graphic there. It's the Panthers and the Lions right there, so it's not great that you lost to those teams. Another team that could fall out of things is the Bears, and it's not great that you lost to them either. But there is a path, too, where one of those teams falls out and you're able to sneak in. The tough one is the 49ers schedule has been they had the league's easiest schedule. And they've done a good job holding it down with a backup quarterback at times and things like that. The Bears thing, I think you needed the Bears and Packers where they play each other in this 3-week span. You need one of them to go 2-0. So when the Packers won the other day, I think you would need the Packers to beat the Bears in a couple weeks. There's a path where you could see the Bears falling out. I don't know. It is a 15-degree game against the Browns. I don't think the Browns are going to win, but I could, weird things happen in the cold. And the Bears still have to play San Francisco and Detroit as well. So there is a path to the Bears ending up at, 10-7 and you ending up 10-6-1 and finding a way. It's tough, and I haven't even mentioned the Panthers through all this. It's tough. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's kind of fun to have all these things to pull for on Sunday.
It is. I don't see any realistic way that the Cowboys get into the playoffs unless they win the East at this point. There's just too much other stuff in the way. I mean, there's so many things that would have to go right for them. So many teams that would, and so many of these teams play each other. Like the Lions and Bears still play each other another time. Obviously, the Packers and the Bears, I don't know. I'm not even looking at that. And then when Jerry was asked about it the other day, he was basically saying the same thing. That's like, we got to win the division is the way he looks at it. I know that's the way the team looks at it. And I think just because of how the Eagles are playing, that factors into that they're not the juggernaut that a lot of people thought they would be. So I won't be watching for that on Sunday. I'm more focused on what the Cowboys do and then what the Eagles do as opposed to all the rest of those teams. But there's definitely times when I'll look at other teams' schedules, and it's not hard for me to see, I can see the Cowboys winning 11, 12 games this year against that schedule,
Yeah.
But, yeah, so maybe they'll get the benefit next year with their schedule where some of these other teams will have to play a tougher road than they have. But the way I look at it right now is that they have to win out, and I'm very confident they can win 3 of those games. I'm just not very confident they'll win all 4.
Yeah, I also think that not having any of the tiebreakers come into play for the wild card for them, it's pretty cut and dry, and I think it makes it a little more difficult. Now, if they had that loss, obviously that's harder too. But I think to have all these teams, like you have this playoff picture here, it doesn't even include the Lions or the Panthers right now, and I think both of those teams probably have a better chance at the wild card.
It is kind of crazy. We're talking about a year where the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Lions, and I'll throw the Cowboys in there just for fun, are like seriously looking at not making the playoffs. And I was thinking the other day, I was like, if the Bills don't get it done this year, it's like, this is the one they'll take to their grave. It's got to be this year for them because you're going to sneak in with the out Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. I'll throw that in there too. I don't know if Cincinnati's earned that over the years, but I'll throw that in there too. This is very crazy. If you had to pick, I'm just going to put you on the spot right here. Who are the 4 best teams in the league, 2 in each conference? As of right now, 4 weeks left in the regular season. Who are our conference championship games?
I like the Rams and the Packers in the NFC. The AFC is tough because I really think that this will be the year that Josh Allen gets to the Super Bowl. And so it's tough because I'm between Denver and New England on who the Bills will be playing. So, man, I guess I'll go Denver just because of the experience of Sean Payton and I give him the benefit of the doubt in some big games. So give me those 2, but I do think the Bills, everything's just lined up perfect for them to finally get to the Super Bowl and win one. So if I had to pick right now, I'd say it'd be Bills, Rams, but you come at me with 8-10 different matchups, and it wouldn't surprise me at all because even with the Bills, like you could tell me they're losing that wild card round, I wouldn't be surprised. The Rams, I look at these matchups that they could potentially have, and it looks like a lot of, wow, you have home field advantage. Do you really, though? You really think you got a home field? You play Green Bay in an NFC Championship game, and it's in LA. You don't think that whole place is gonna be green? Like I look at all these matchups, I'm just like, outside of maybe Bucks fans, like Lions are bringing more fans, San Francisco's bringing more fans, Seattle's bringing more fans, the Eagles are bringing more fans, the Packers are bringing. So it's like, I feel like if you are in the NFC and you don't get the 1 seed, you want the Rams to get it.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to go play outside in Green Bay or Philadelphia.
I think you asked for 2 each. If you had asked for 3 each, I think it's a lot easier for me because it's the Rams, Packers, and Seahawks, and then Broncos, Patriots, and Bills for me. And with the Seahawks, I just don't trust Sam Darnold in the playoffs.
I don't
right now.
either.
That's the problem. Their defense the last few weeks has been legit. Jackson Smith and Jigba is awesome. Everything there is fine. I just don't trust Sam Darnold, so I would go with the Rams and Packers as the 2, and then with the Bills, man, they just needed to get one weapon at the trade deadline, and they didn't do it. The Broncos have the defense. Defense can carry you in the playoffs. R.J. Harvey looks pretty good in the run game. They seem to just always get it done. And then the Patriots, they've had the most cupcake schedule ever, and so I don't really know what to think of them. But in the AFC, I would probably go Patriots and Bills.
Yeah, and the Patriots have like a little bit of an easier schedule just because they have the Jets, and the Dolphins are technically hanging in there right at the end. But the Patriots have the Bills this week. I think Denver's a really tough place to play, but I think Foxborough could be too in January. So it's all a mess, man. It's all a mess, and it's all fun. It's why we talk about like going for it. Hey, hanging around the rim.
A lot of teams hanging around the rim.
All in. A lot of teams hanging around the rim. I think it's time now. And by the way, thanks to Matt Sizik, who's being here today. He's the chief content officer and Superman of Haymaker Network. He runs the show here. Matt, it's time to go into the blue tent. And let's check out these injuries. CeeDee Lamb is obviously the big one, but fill us in on the rest, John.
CD, it seems like, especially if you go off what Stephen Jones has said recently, it sounds like there's a good chance CD will play in the game, but because it's a concussion protocol thing, you can tell that they don't want to say anything definitive because you just never know for sure. Saw him in the locker room the other day when a guy is in the concussion protocol. We're not allowed to talk to them, but he seemed like his normal self when he was at his locker, walking around, things like that. And so I think he'll end up playing. I think having the 3 extra days, if that concussion had happened this past Sunday, I don't think he plays. But I think there's a decent chance he could be cleared for that game. I think Guyton plays. I think because of the way that the offensive line played, I think any benefit of the doubt that they were given the Nate Thomas thing changes. And so that's why I think they bring back Guyton. Jadeveon Clowney was close to playing on Thursday, so there's no reason to think that he wouldn't be back for this game. Now, it might be one of those things where he doesn't play 30, 35 snaps, but they know that they don't have enough pass rush without him.
Yeah.
And so I expect him to be back as well. And who else was on there? Or somebody else, wasn't there? Oh, Trayvon Diggs, I guess, would be on that.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, yeah.
If he has a good week of practice, I think that he'll have a chance to play.
The eternal question mark. I mean,
yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because I don't see him on the team next year. But as of right now, you look at the way the corners played against Detroit. Like, it wouldn't be a surprise to me. Same thing with Guyton, where they're like, all right, we got to get him out there. We're not good enough on the back end. This is our final playoff push. Get him out there,
I think I'm soft. I think I'm a little softer on some of these guys than maybe I should be. Where do you stand on the Savone Revel game? He's obviously got picked on a little bit, but like coming back from injury, rookie.
Yeah, playing with a knee brace.
Like, a lot of grace should be given there, right?
Yeah, for sure. But you could tell throughout that first half that Jared Goff was looking for him. And, yeah, he was on the bad end of a lot of plays in that game. And so I think the knee brace for me is a big one because you just look across the league, how many corners are wearing knee braces like that? And I know just talking to him in the locker room the other day, he wants to get it off, but it's one of those things that he has to go through probably for the rest of the year. But, yeah, he wasn't – but that's the whole thing about that game. Like, who was good on defense, though,
Oh, for sure.
Like, I came away from that game. There's, like, all these storylines you're thinking about. You're writing after the game, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, I can't remember, like, one play that DeMarvion Overshown made, I can't remember, like, one big play Quinnen Williams made, There was, like, the whole defense just was – now, Revel was he was in a lot of the highlights where it's just him and David Montgomery, and he's trying to bring him down, him and Isaac Tesla in the back of the end zone. So I get that he's on that side, but there wasn't many players. Bland was not good. I mean, there's just not really many guys that played in that game where you're like, obviously Kenneth Murray, that you're like, wow, that they had a good game, So, but yeah, Revel was not good enough, no doubt.
They had some moments in the first couple series, and then, I mean, obviously, we have numbers to back this up too. They quit sending extra guys, and it was just, we're gonna try to keep everyone in front of us, and that's happened a lot this year. It does, and we'll talk more about that once we get to the Vikings and all that, and the quarterback that you're going up against. But that was one of those games where, like, yeah, not having Jadeveon Clowney hurts a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have thought that. Oh, yeah, I didn't think that going into the year.
One of the
biggest, didn't have him.
No, seriously, that's one of the biggest parts of that game. Like, how many times have we been at games where you're like, yeah, this guy he's going to try and warm up and see if he goes. He's a true game time decision. And there's so many times I just roll my eyes at that, like, yeah, whatever. That game, like, you just flip the two guys that were doing that. You flip Amon St. Brown and Jadeveon Clowney, and you tell me that St. Brown doesn't play and Clowney does. I could easily see that being a completely different game. They needed 2 or 3 good pass rushes from Jadeveon Clowney to get Goff down. And it's not hard for me to see that happening with knowing how Goff plays and the way Clowney's been playing recently. And then the same flip side, St. Brown, if he doesn't play in that game, he had some big plays. He was clearly not just a decoy out there. And so it was interesting how that game possibly did come down to what happened an hour before the game.
Yeah, real quick, I want to ask you, John, because you're there every day. Just Josh Butler, is there anything on him, or?
I mean, he's been in the locker room and we've seen him out there, but I don't get the sense that they're trying to bring him back and this season.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe there'll be some one day where Shotty just goes up to the podium and he says, "Hey, we got Josh Butler's going to be just giving you guys a heads up or whatever." But up to this point, I haven't seen anything there at all. So maybe if Diggs would have been out for the year or something, maybe they would have tried to maybe speed that up or whatever. But I don't get any sense that that's about to happen.
I would love if we were in a season that began with a spit and a player getting ejected, and then all the questions and the trade before and everything that's happened this year. I would love if we were building towards a Trayvon Diggs division clinching interception. Like, this is one of the things you would just say so that we can clip it and say this was said, way back in early December. But it's just like it's also like a Cowboy thing. It's just always kind of weird.
Why do you want to end it there? Why wouldn't you want it to be in the NFC Championship game to send them to the Super Bowl for the first time in 30 years?
That's fair, and then you got to re-sign him.
You need to increase your goals.
Well, he's already signed.
He's already signed. You got to bring him back then.
Yeah. Well, there's no question in that scenario. There's no question he would come back.
He's a
legend.
legend.
He was balling in the playoffs and they went to the Super Bowl. Yeah, he would be back.
Yeah.
How crazy! What a timeline.
And then they have 2 first-round picks on top of it.
I want to steal from my friends here real quick. You guys want to have fun? Would you like to do a little quick trivia real quick?
Let's do it.
Do you guys
Wild.
mind? The inner Bob Barker is coming out here. But my friends and y'all's friends, Mike and Cash Soroy and Danny Bayless do a podcast called the Cert Soroy Podcast. And Mike Soroy was looking at some numbers and came up with this. So right now, we know Dak passed Tony Romo in yards passing. But in touchdown passes, Dak is 9 short of Romo. So we're probably going to get another thing where it's like, oh, let me flash the thing on the Jumbotron or whatever. Actually, if that doesn't happen in the next 2 games, they'll be on the road. So, no, but it'll be on the TV broadcast. So I have the 10 people who have caught the most of Dak's touchdown passes in the NFL. Would you guys like to guess? I'll give you each 3 strikes. So it's a very good possibility that you guys get this, I think.
Yeah.
Although it's
ready.
tough to go back and just rack your brain.
Okay.
So
Well,
fire away.
CD and Amari are easy.
CeeDee Lamb, 1 and 2, right there.
Okay.
Very nice. CeeDee Lamb running away.
You want me to go some deep cuts?
35. It's the deep cuts.
Cole
Gallup.
Beasley.
Cole Beasley, number, I think he's tied for 6th right there with 12.
Okay.
You said Gallup,
Yeah.
number 3 at 18.
Oh wow, I got
That
the
is
top
wild.
3.
Yeah.
Jake Ferguson.
Yes, at 14. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, tied for 5th.
If I'm taking a wild guess, I would say Zeke.
Zeke, number 9,
Okay.
with 11 touchdown catches.
Okay. Damn.
You guys are pitching a perfect game so far.
Jason Witten.
Jason Witten, yes, tied with Beasley with 12.
Wow. I wouldn't have guessed that one.
Because, I mean, some in Witten's second stint, which
Man.
always weird that he played for the Raiders.
Yeah.
Luke Scoot. No.
No.
Oh, hey, maybe one day you could crawl into the top 10.
Nah.
Not
No,
looking
no,
likely.
No, that won't be happening.
Tony Pollard?
Not
No.
Tony Pollard. There's our first strike.
Okay.
How many more names we got on there?
Yeah.
So you said Ferguson, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And you said Gallup, Cooper, Lamb. There's 3 left on here.
3 left.
I would say one's fairly easy. The other 2, you do have to think a little bit.
Really easy.
2 wide receivers and 1 tight end.
Blake Jarwin.
Not Blake Jarwin.
Yeah.
Man, there's a blast from the past.
He's a tight end. I can't even
Yeah.
say. Oh, Dalton Schultz.
Don
of
Schultz,
course.
15. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
4th on the list.
Yeah.
With 15.
Yeah.
God, how could you? How do we forget about him?
Yeah.
I think about him every day when I walk by the weight room. To be honest with you,
And then 2 wide receivers.
just in case, anyways.
And it's just so hard to be a Cowboy
so
with all
hard.
these people taking tours.
So tough.
There's no way Cedric Wilson's on the list.
Not Cedric Wilson.
Okay.
But it is wide receiver. It's 2 wide receivers. In fact,
Terrence Williams,
I will tell you, it's not Terrence Williams, but both.
Bryce
Dez?
Butler.
These wide receivers went to the same college.
So not Dez.
No.
Go.
Cedric Wilson.
Wait, hold on. It is Dez. Dez
Oh,
had 14.
Dez?
Am I? Yeah, they did go to the same school.
Dez.
I don't know why for
and
some reason.
No,
I
they
just-
didn't. I'm color associating, which
Okay.
I always do.
I thought for some reason you said Dez right at the beginning. Who'd you say at the beginning? You said Amari.
Amari and CD.
Amari.
Oh, CD.
Yeah,
okay,
Dez was number 4
Yeah,
or
Dez
5 at
obvious one,
14.
Sure.
The last one, it's not the same school. I apologize. I do this sometimes with colleges. I color associate in my head,
Okay,
and I'll just think that Oklahoma State is Oregon State,
that's fine.
and that would be
Don't beat yourself up over that.
number 10 on this list with 9 touchdown catches from Dak.
Oh, Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy because Brandon Cooks' tenure here
Yeah.
was seen as such a failure.
Very short.
and the
too.
fact that he's number 10. Yeah, short and bad.
If I had to guess, I didn't look up the rest. I was stealing from the Circus Roy podcast that you can go check out.
All right,
It's,
now let's do Tony Romo.
Oh, okay.
No,
Dez.
Dez and Witten.
Witten. T.O.
Probably.
We'll do that next week.
Terrence Williams.
Homework assignment for next week. All right. Well, that takes us to something. Let's talk about George Pickens for a minute. That's all handled. We had the post. Richard Sherman was critical of him. We had the deleted Instagram post with questionable.
Grammar.
Yeah, we had some punctuation errors in there, but I'm
That
not.
was probably the most concerning part.
I'm gonna let it slide. I'm gonna let it slide. This guy's in his feels. He's getting hated on by Richard Sherman. Actually, I didn't really have a problem with what Richard Sherman said.
I didn't have a problem with him responding.
I didn't either.
The times we're in right now, there's former professional athletes that run their mouth about current athletes, which is fine. It's fun. People enjoy it. If you want to respond to him, as long as you're not taking shots at the guy's like family or
Yeah.
threatening him, who cares? Like, let him.
Call him a
I wouldn't.
leech.
I wouldn't even have deleted that, other than the grammar parts. Like, I would have just left it up.
100%. I think it was a team directive to delete it. I don't. I just someone. I feel like I don't feel like Pickens would delete that because it wasn't. I had the same feeling. I was like, this was not even that bad. I don't know.
The
The
only
way he played was way worse than at post.
is the yeah, all right. Is that the concern is just like there's like if this was someone else and not him with a rap sheet, okay, of just kind of weird stuff. Like,
Okay.
do they just let it slide?
Wait, let what slide? What are we? There's two
The
different
post.
things here. I don't care about the post.
I don't
care at all. The concern is the play on the field.
Yes.
You can say wild things every day after every one of those games, as long as there's no questions about effort in big games or you don't have your other number one wide receiver. So that would be the more concerning thing for me, not that post. That post to me, honestly, not to hate on my reporting brethren, but like when it was even asked, Ryan, are you going to talk to George about that? I was just like, who cares? Like, what, he wouldn't talk, sit him down and talk
Yeah.
about social media in the year 2025? like this is like the early stages. Like he fired that off at halftime or something, you know, like who cares? Like that is nowhere near concerning as the play on the field, the not going after some of these passes that typically he makes. That's the concerning part, not some stupid posts on social media.
Yeah, and I think everything that Sherman said, I understand where Sherman was coming from, and
He just went a little far with that.
the disinterested.
Yeah.
I think that's what that's the buzzword that I think Pickens probably caught up on. That or talking about his money. Those two things I think is kind of where Pickens gets. But the disinterested thing is just it's kind of like you started off this podcast by saying this. It's one of my pet peeves when people talk about consistently. I'm not saying there's not exceptions, but consistently saying, well, who wants it more? I mean, it's just, it's an arbitrary conversation that I don't think like on a regular basis is valid to have. I do think there are times where it is valid, but yeah, when you say someone is disinterested, I think that's going to strike a chord with them.
To be fair, I will say I don't think a Brian Schottenheimer conversation with George Pickens to sit down and tell him, here's why we can't do this. I don't know that necessarily leads to a changed man. I think you got George Pickens' numbers on the year, 7th in receptions.
Man, Richard Sherman sucks, man. You know that. That guy sucks. Like, why even waste your time, man?
Okay, what if it came from someone who didn't play cornerback? Does that have anything to do with it? Because he did take some shots at the Seattle defense over the years, the Legion of Boom.
Yeah, I mean, other people have said the same thing, but
Beautiful.
It would just be a different. It would just be a different angle. If it was an analyst saying it, it'd be like you never played the game, that kind of thing. If it was a wide receiver, you never played at my level, whatever. Like it would just be different depending on where the criticism was coming from.
I gave him at 7th in receptions this year. I have him. By the way, Jake Ferguson has 3 less catches than George Pickens this year. That's crazy to me.
That's kind of crazy.
I have George Pickens at 3rd in receiving yards. CeeDee Lamb at 9, minus the 4 games lost to injury. Receiving touchdowns, 5 games lost to injury.
4.5, yeah.
5th in receiving touchdowns, George Pickens with 8 and Trey McBride. Jake Ferguson right there with 7, right below. I will be so sad if he's not a Cowboy long term because he's fun and entertaining. Absolutely though, just the full George Pickens experience. I'm glad we're not just getting a sample, like small sample size dose of this. Everything that you had heard about him, we've got it, and then some, like on the good side, because he's got a quarterback that can actually play football, throw into him. And I think that's good for evaluating, do I want this guy here long term? You want to get every bit of it. And like, I do know how the PR system is going to flow through this. When it's time to not when it's time to go the opposite direction of building George Pickens up, it will happen that way. Like Jerry will have to turn it a little bit, and not have so many glowing reviews about George Pickens. Like that's coming down the road.
yeah, we've already seen it with Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Just because things are where they are now
Yeah.
with Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones, let's not act like they weren't thick as thieves at one point where you never thought that Jerry would ever, no matter how ugly it got, you thought, oh, Jerry will get a deal done with him. And so you can sit there and say whatever you want about that right now, but it would not surprise me at all if we go into training camp, he's under the franchise tag, he's not happy, whatever, like that wouldn't surprise me at all. Like this thing's far from a contract extension being finalized. There's so many more chapters in this thing. I mean, just
Sure.
the way the Cowboys operate, the way things go, when especially when they deal with Todd France or David Mulligetta, like to think that this is just going to be buttoned up in March and everything's 4-year deal, whatever, $35-40 million a year. Like, why would you think that?
Yeah, and what you're talking about with the court of public opinion, KT, in terms of how Jerry could redirect the conversation, the angle. The thing with Pickens, though, is it's been pretty consistent all season long. I mean, not like as in like he's always been doing this, but winning is a deodorant. And let's not act like this conversation we're having right now after a loss, if they lose to the Raiders and he was late and had to be benched for a series and committed a penalty that Jameson Williams was flagged for the night before, we're having the same conversation in the aftermath of that game. It's just they won that game. And Pickens had a great game as well. That played a part as well. But if they lost that game, and if it wasn't the Raiders or whatever, if it was the Lions that game, we're in the same conversation right now. So I think winning has cured a lot of things. And when I say consistent, I'm not saying every single week Pickens has been a problem. That's not the consistency I'm talking about. I'm just saying, like John said, we have it in our back pocket of Schottenheimer literally saying, he doesn't love Wednesdays. He doesn't love Wednesdays and Thursdays. That's when times were good.
Yeah.
And the Raiders was when they were winning. Like, this has been like every couple of weeks, every few weeks, you get something, and that's just part of the experience. But again,
And that's in a contract year.
Yeah.
Once the deal's done.
For 140, did Thursday night performance on the field. Okay, I guess takeout is all we know. Takeout salary cap even. 4 at 140. Does that like how much does that stop you from going down that path? Because you're going to franchise him for a year. If you go franchising for a year, we'll probably end up getting a similar type of year. He's going to play good in a contract year. You're going to get the best of him. So it does make sense to go down that route for the Cowboys if you can dodge a lot of drama.
No doubt, especially with the way the roster is set up. That's exactly what you would do.
You're making decisions. Are you scared of that commitment?
I don't know if scared's the right word. I don't know. I think also you still have 4 games to go that you get to.
Yeah.
Hey, not to get on a different topic, but I feel the exact same way with Matt Eberflus. Like, I think there's a really good chance he's coming back, but you still have 4 games.
Sure.
If this thing goes in a ditch in the next 4 games and looks even worse, like, you can't assume that he would be coming back. So with Pickens, like, as long as he bounces back from this and that, I just think that Jerry loves what he brings too much. I think Dak loves what he brings too much. CD, Steven, Shoddy, like all the people that would matter the most in this, all are going to be like, yeah, we get all that, but he does this and this on Sundays. We need to have him back. And so I think that's ultimately why you would. Now, there are things like what we saw on Thursday night where I don't think it would be the right fit for every organization. But with the Dallas Cowboys, that's why again, it's so amazing that the end result with the Micah Parsons deal, because that usually is something that you're like, oh, the Cowboys will handle that, especially in the Jerry Jones era.
Sure.
Like, they'll figure that out. That's the least of their worries. So if they were to not find a forward path with George Pickens coming off of the Micah Parsons thing, I would be really stunned by that.
Yeah, and also to the point about how it's different for every organization, that's also why, like, it's kind of funny to me, the narrative that, well, the Steelers made this huge mistake by letting Pickens go, maybe for the price and stuff. And I understand what their receiver situation is and what their quarterback. But again, I think this situation in Dallas with Dak as the quarterback and him being able to direct things, I think, I'm not saying the Steelers made the right decision, but it's kind of like those that would say, well, the Giants let Saquon Barkley go. Well, the Saquon Barkley wasn't going to win the Giants a Super Bowl the way they did with the Eagles. It's a different conversation. Pickens could be in Pittsburgh right now, and maybe he's fine because Rodgers is the quarterback. But if you're looking long term, I don't know how much that would really work out for him. So I think,
or maybe Rodgers is calling him out because he isn't late.
Yeah.
He's late to a meeting, or he isn't running out this route or something like that. I mean,
and Dak wouldn't do that.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a clear future with Dak is the quarterback, which gives you stability and a crystal ball thing in your head where you can go, we're going to be winning. And George Pickens, when winning, is going to be at his best. And these moments will be few and far between when you look at the grand scheme of things. I think that makes a lot of sense and why you could go do something like this with George.
And just also keep in mind that Jerry's all-in comments in 2024, they actually apply to 2026 and 2027. This is when they actually need to be all in in Dak's last few years of his deal. Not saying this is the last few years of Dak's career. He could easily play further, but I'm just saying in terms of his prime, CD Lamb lining up with his prime, Pickens, Quinnen Williams where he's at. I mean, when you look at it, these next 2-3 years, this is the all-in window that Jerry said 2024 was when it really wasn't.
No one talks about it. They're like how much a good quarterback means. Devontae Adams is another example.
Yeah.
Areas with the Raiders, and he's slamming his helmet, and he's assaulting a camera guy. It just happened once. It's just one
Well, you don't
little
want to
thing
go down
in
this
the
road
tunnel.
with me because I would challenge you then to say
Well,
who doesn't, what receiver doesn't play well?
No.
Stafford.
well,
It's a Stafford thing with me way more.
no,
than
I think
other organizations.
Devontae Adams yesterday in an interview was like, "I'll retire whenever Matt Stafford retires, I'll retire."
I saw him get Kenny Galladay paid big money.
Yeah, for sure.
Nate Burleson rolling with him.
Yeah.
Golden Tate, he balls with everybody. Also, let's remember that Super Bowl. Before he gets hurt, Odell Beckham was well on his way to getting MVP. So Odell Beckham is the greatest receiver. Oh wait, no, now Cooper Kupp got MVP, so he's the greatest
Yeah.
receiver. Oh wait, now they're both gone, and you got this Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. Now they're all of a sudden the best. God, what is the connection with all these? I'll figure it out. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's Matthew Stafford. That's weird.
Yeah, no doubt, 100%. And that takes us a little bit because you said what receiver? There is one who's not throwing up he's not mad too much. And this takes us to this weekend's matchup. It's the clash. It's the Cowboys at the Vikings Sunday night at AT&T Stadium. Justin Jefferson is there, and he just needs a good quarterback to feed him the ball. And he's been very quiet lately. They were pretty good last week in a 31-0 win over Washington. That game was not as big of a blowout as I think the world thinks, though, because it was 7-0. They did score on their first drive. Then Washington took it down the field and did not convert on a 4th and 1 at the 2-yard line. And then J.J. McCarthy went on a wild 19-play, 98-yard drive, and they ended up getting up 14-0. I mean, this game was 14-0 with Washington driving in the middle of the third quarter. So this game was close still. I mean, it's 2-score game, but it was close with 20 minutes left in the game. But I will say J.J. McCarthy, if he has to see a whole field and it's not good right now. But if it's check down here and very easy here, and that's where I would just worry that the Cowboys, if they're going to do the pitch and catch defense again, it's going to be, don't make J.J. McCarthy look good. That will stand out more than the Russell Wilson game. It'll stand out more than the Caleb Williams game. It'll stand out more than all of these games. The Jacoby Brissett game. Don't make J.J. McCarthy look good, please, Cowboys defense. That's my plea.
He picks and chooses his spots, though. Maybe he's not choosing them, but they come and he played great against the Bears earlier in the year. He played great against the Lions in Detroit.
Yeah.
He has moments where you're like, oh, yeah, that's why that guy would go high in the rep. Because you got to also remember, too, that coming out of college, yeah, he was on a national championship Michigan team, but he was not the guy that led them there. It was a good defense. It was a run game and all that stuff. So there's a lot of people that are critical of him for kind of just being this bus driver that only had to throw 10, 15 times a game, and he was just, hey, don't mess this up. But he has shown some glimpses of, the upside of why he would be a high first-round pick. He doesn't concern me nearly as much as what I saw Thursday night with how much Dak was getting hit by that Lions defense.
Yeah.
That would be the more concerning part because Brian Flores can dial it up, and if that Lions team is getting that type of pressure on Dak, certainly this Vikings team can do that, and that would be my bigger concern. Everything I saw in that game on Thursday, the effort stuff with Pickens, there was obviously concerns there, but I think even that for me is second behind how poorly the offensive line protected Dak and how many hits he took that you really can't have your franchise quarterback taking. And so if you have another week where that's there was some moments in that game on Thursday night where Dak got up slow where you're like, ooh, is he about to go to the tent over this? Ankle, some lower body, things like that. You can't have that 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that happened early in the game too. The first time he kind of came up and was slow to the sideline. But I agree with that because that throws off the whole passing game. And I think another thing that I don't know that we've talked about, and it's kind of, I don't want to go off to a different topic, but Javonte Williams looks different.
I agree.
I mean, I understand he's coming off an injury and all that stuff, and he's still good. And I know the offensive line is not, but there's a different pop to Javonte Williams right now than what it was like 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. And so I think the passing game really has to carry this thing. And if you're not giving Dak enough time to cook, it's going to be tough.
Eye test on just watching on TV copy, Javonte Williams, it does appear like,
He's
a
lost
little out of gas there.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you wish you maybe would have drafted a running back that could really be coming in right now as a young guy, maybe a home run hitter type, that could.
Yeah, maybe a day 3,
Yeah, something like that. There's got to be somebody out there that they could have used.
Or you can get a franchise legend and see what he's doing. Maybe pull Phillip Rivers. What are you doing, Zeke? What's going on? I'm joking, clearly, but
I don't know.
No, but also real quick, KT, on the McCarthy thing, the Bears game earlier in the year, it was very early. I think it was the first game. It was kind of the full experience because McCarthy was bad in the first half of that game, and then in the second half he was great. And you kind of saw in one game all of what he's able to do and not able to do, and if he's good enough for his good to outweigh the bad, then like he's able to beat the Chicago Bears, and he could do that against the Cowboys too. But again, Justin Jefferson, how can you get him involved? And honestly, with all the diva wide receiver stuff, Jefferson is as good as you can hope for from that class of receivers. He's been pretty good about it. And then also, I know he's old and I know he's banged up, but the Cowboy killer, Aaron Jones.
Man, I wrote that down.
Coming to town.
I did write that down.
So
the Aaron Jones at AT&T Stadium with the whole family there. Maybe they wear a purple sombrero. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. That's always something to put in your notes. I'll say real quick, and this is maybe more a rant at big media, the TV talking heads, right? Just looking for impressions and engagement. Like, why is everyone in such a hurry to make, I'll say this is a lot of quarterbacks, but J.J. McCarthy, a Christian Ponder situation? It's happened a little bit with Trey Lance, and I'm not saying Trey Lance has earned anything, but like got hurt and then like gets traded. Just not a big track record. Like we're still on the amount of games, like under 20 NFL games. And people were trying to do this to Caleb a little bit earlier in the year, Caleb Williams. But Caleb Williams is going to be a problem in the league for a long time. And I'm not saying J.J. McCarthy is going to be that, but it was a little shocking to see how fast the machine had got in there and just started tearing J.J. McCarthy down to a nub. And I'm like, well, hold on. Like, he hasn't played that many games yet. Well, and they're also like building a program a little bit too with a new quarterback again. And I know, I think people think pretty highly of the coach and Kevin O'Connell. So I just think it's credit. Let him prove that he's Christian Ponder, and then let's let that happen first.
I think there's 2-3 things that lend to that narrative. Number one is, like you said, Kevin O'Connell is for whatever reason viewed as a quarterback whisperer, even though I don't think he's done it consistently enough to really earn that. I think McVay and Shanahan are the only two for me that kind of earned that thing. The other thing is you have an elite wide receiver in his prime, so you feel like, well, why can't you get Jefferson involved? Why is he falling off? And then I think the third thing that might be a little bit more for the media talk heads or things like that is Drake May and Caleb Williams, same draft class. Yeah. And they're both killing it. And Sam Darnold is killing it in Seattle by his respect. So I think all those things, all those factors to me contribute a little bit to that J.J. McCarthy narrative.
The only one I'd add is that, they were one game away from getting the 1 seed last year in the playoffs. And so, I think there was a lot of people critical of the Vikings at that time thinking, well, they went that far with Darnold. Darnold sucks. So if you just put somebody else in, and it's like now you look and you're like, maybe Darnold isn't that bad. Now, I don't know if you want him to be the guy to win multiple playoff games for you, but I think it's because that team was rolling last year to that level too, that they felt like, okay, you had that redshirt year with that quarterback, and now he's going to be ready to go. And then, he has a decent game against the Bears. They win, open the season, and you're just looking like, oh yeah, this is going to be the same Vikings team as last year, and obviously it hasn't been.
The quarterback evaluations are crazy like that because 4 weeks ago the Indianapolis Colts were all in on Daniel Jones to the fact where they threw away 2 first-round picks for a corner, and Daniel Jones has been hurt, but I also don't think Daniel Jones was necessarily the answer to your future either. Yeah. And it's just, So yeah, I think quarterback evaluations are tough, whatever teams are doing it.
Phillip Rivers, if he plays this week at Seattle, San Francisco, Jacksonville, at Houston, that's 3 really good defenses. If he plays, we'll see. Looks like he probably will, though. That's a crazy one. 44 years old. He can handle
He's
it.
out there dealing. That owner is calling the plays.
Yeah, right?
With the headset on.
I
It
would
could just be like really.
Love for Charlotte to do that here.
It would just almost be like a TV sitcom.
Oh,
You
it's
could really like make
beautiful.
off of that. I mean, just think about where
Yeah.
that's at.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you wrote that up as like a script for a TV show at the beginning, before you saw what the Colts were this year, with the owner on the sideline, and then this Rivers thing at 44 years old, you'd be like, this is a terrible script. This would never
Classic
happen.
TV dad
Yeah.
coming in here.
Honestly, you can even tie in Daniel Jones having as much success as he did off of what he did with the
Oh,
Giants. I
yes.
think there's a lot of parts of that too where people be like, wait, what?
Dude, the Colts do this weird stuff. I mean, this is an extreme, but I remember when Peyton Manning in 2009 was out for the season, like they had nothing. It was going to be Curtis Painter, and then they signed Kerry Collins the week before the season started.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Wow.
and then just rode with that for a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, and then they've done that with Jeff Saturday, bring him off the desk to coach the team.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you can't
Pretty
blame it
awesome.
all on the owner because it's kind of changed.
So in this scenario, is Daniel Jones, Michael Scott burning his foot on the skillet there, on the griddle, and then
Let's be real careful about this. We don't just throw around Michael Scott comps for anybody, okay? So
Yeah,
let's just really
right.
think this out here.
I've crossed the
This
line.
might be the post Michael Scott episodes of The Office. Let's not do anything.
Well, yeah, I was to say though that this is where
But even with like
is
before,
Phil Rivers coming
before-
in as James Spader.
odd stuff because a character in this has to be Jim Irsay too. Before he passed, I mean, Jim Irsay is owners meetings. Like he talks almost as much as Jerry. It's just that he doesn't. His voice maybe didn't carry as much weight. Maybe he didn't say as crazy stuff. I mean, I definitely was at an owners meeting where he was sitting in a golf cart just smoking cigs while he was talking to reporters gathered around and blowing smoke in their hair. I mean, believe me. I mean, he's a character himself too
Beautiful.
in this whole thing. So, Colts are an interesting one there for sure.
Well, they're still alive, sniffing around just like the Cowboys in the hunt, hanging on the rim of the playoffs. You guys want to do picks? We'll do
Do it.
picks. The picks for this week, I can tell you that John still has the lead. Kent, who's not with us today, is in second place now. Sod's in third, and I'm in fourth, but I've had a couple weeks to make this thing
Close the
close
gap.
down the stretch because the loser has to go to Topeka. The games this week are going to be Cowboys, Vikings, Packers at Broncos, and then I went with Bills and Patriots because it's important. I do like to keep it in the NFC. Lions, Rams, the Brian Branch injury took me to where I think the Rams are going to win that game, so I decided to scrap it. Plus, I knew who John would pick. So I'll go ahead and tell you who Kent picked, and then we can do this. Kent is taking the Cowboys -6, Packers -2.5 in Denver, and then Buffalo -1 as they take on the Patriots. John, we'll start with you. Cowboys 6-point favorites at home Sunday night.
I do like the Cowboys. 6 is a lot, but
It is a lot.
they're just a better team at home, and I don't really trust that Vikings team. And then because of the pressure that the Cowboys had on Dak from the Lions, I just don't see that happening back-to-back weeks. I don't know if the communication will be better. Maybe having Guyton back will be better. I think that they'll have a little bit more of an answer there. And if that Vikings front isn't getting home consistently, I don't really trust them to keep the game that close.
Yeah.
So, yeah, give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, 6 is a lot of points, but yeah, I'll take the Cowboys as well. And I think if there's anything crazy that happens in terms of the Vikings winning this game or anything, I think it would be a very Cowboys way to go down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think the Vikings have enough on offense.
I do think the Cowboys win, but Aaron Jones at AT&T Stadium, 6 points, like you said. Give me Minnesota and the points and a Cowboys dub. And this helps with me getting back in the race because you guys all picked the Cowboys. Green Bay at Denver. Green Bay 2.5-point favorites. Sod, what do you think?
This is at Denver.
It's at Denver.
Is this
Green Bay's schedule's tough. At Denver, at Chicago, Baltimore, who may be desperate, and then ending it at Minnesota.
is it still Toyotathon?
Yeah, we're still Toyota Truckathon really
Okay.
throughout the end of the year. So
Okay.
this is the pattern now.
This is the Jordan Love time.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me the Packers. I think losing Tucker Kraft was tough, but when you look at what they have at their receiving options now with Watson and Jaden Reed coming back, and then Dobbs, I think it's solid, and Wicks every now and then. Musgrave made a couple of good catches, and Jordan Love is playing well.
Matthew Golden is an afterthought.
Oh yeah, Matthew Golden too.
He's been hurt, but he is an afterthought. I have big concerns about the Packers stopping the run still, but I don't know how much Sean Payton's trying to just sit there and run the ball. I think he will tell you that he wants to do that, but I don't necessarily see that a ton on the field. And part of that might be because J.K. Dobbins got hurt and all that stuff. I'm going to take Denver plus 2.5 because it's a tough place to play. And Kent and Sod took the Packers, so I'll take Denver plus 2.5. That's a good one, though. I Green Bay's playing really well right now, like their best football of the last 2 years. They're playing it right now. All right, John, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. I'm going to take the Packers too. The only thing that even makes me hesitate on it is just because I know how well Denver plays at home, and I can see a path to where that defense does cause problems for Green Bay's offense, as good as they are. But yeah, I just think the Packers are too hot right now.
This is not a scenario we've discussed, but the Packers could, I mean, hypothetically, just looking at the schedule, Broncos, Bears, Ravens, I mean, they could lose 3 of the next 4. The Vikings there too. They probably won't because they're playing well, like I said.
Yeah.
But there is a scenario where they end up 10-6-1 and the Cowboys end up 10-6-1. And then we're talking
Tiebreaker.
weird tiebreakers there, which would mean that the Bears probably jumped ahead of the Packers to win the North. And the
In that
tiebreaker
scenario,
there would lean towards the Packers over the Cowboys, I believe, with conference record.
I don't see any way that scenario would happen with the current team. If you told me that that's how it went down, I would say that, I don't know, they lost Cooper or Parsons or something. Like, there's no way that healthy that Green Bay will drop all of that. But there's injuries, so who knows what happens there.
Hey, Wyatt hurt again.
Yeah.
But, okay. Okay, so I take Denver and you all pick Green Bay. Good. Buffalo, New England. This game's at Foxborough. Buffalo, a 1-point favorite.
Basically a push.
Basically a push. In fact, I have no problem making this a pick 'em if you guys would like. No, we'll do Buffalo -1. It's fair.
Yeah.
I'll take Buffalo -1. Kent took Buffalo -1. Let's go, John.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I'll take Buffalo.
I'm changing my pick to New England -1. For
You're
game
playing the
theory.
game within the game.
Yeah, I gotta make up some ground here, but I've come a long ways in 4th place. All right, there we go. Picks for the week. We will have a little post-game episode sometime after Sunday night's game. What do you think, John? Big sellout crowd, fired up, new hope. We'll know if the Raiders have beat the Eagles by the time we kick off Sunday night. This could be the biggest night in Dallas Cowboys history Sunday night. I'm just setting the table for you, man.
I'm not going to allow that. But anyway, if they would have beat Detroit, sure.
Yeah.
I could have seen that for sure. I mean, because it wouldn't just be the win in Detroit. It would be that you're on a 4-game winning streak, that you had won 3 games in that stretch where we were like, it's going to be tough for them to win 1. And then you have that Eagles loss too. Yeah, I could see that place rocking. And I still think it will be. I mean, it's a Sunday night football game, don't get me wrong. But the way that they lost and the things that went down in Detroit, I think that probably took a little air out of the tires. So I won't say it's quite on the level of, I don't know, a Super Bowl. Like, they've won 5 of those. So we'll say it'll be good. I don't know that anybody will be trampled running into the stadium, but it'll be solid.
But if the Raiders somehow beat the Eagles, if that actually happens, I think that injects some, because we're not even talking about the Eagles. We're talking about split, lose to the Bills, split with the Commanders. We're not even talking about the Raiders. Like, if they end up losing to the Raiders somehow before the Cowboys kick off against the Vikings, and now you have a potential 1-3, if not 0-4, 2-2, right in front of you with the Eagles, that would set the table again. Now we're not going like any crazy historic, but that would be quite the injection of hope.
And it wouldn't even, to me in that scenario, it wouldn't even matter who they play after that game, Philadelphia. It would just be that, wow. Like it's even like I thought it was bad. It's getting worse than I thought it would be, but now that's rock bottom if they lost to that Raiders team.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, that would be crazy.
That would be crazy.
Dude, I like that we're ending on a little pie in the sky, a little bit of that. It's me in a good mood.
I mean, that's pretty much the Dallas Cowboys.
Is the Cowboys? We were 3-5-1 not too long ago.
But I'm saying it's beyond just that. It's 30 years of Dallas Cowboys football,
Hanging around the rim.
Hanging
Dallas
30.
Cowboys.
We're gonna get those shirts made up.
Oh my gosh, we have to. Please follow us on Instagram at One Star Cowboys Pod. Okay, you can see little clips from the show. Make sure also that you're following the Haymaker Network on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the stuff. And follow us on social media at John Machota. That's JON MACHOTA. At Saad Yusuf 126. Okay, and then at Kent Garrison. I'm KT Fun Tweets as well. The Haymaker Network, thanks for housing us for our midweek podcast. Thanks for Matt Sizik holding it down for Kent. Really appreciate that. A bunch of interviews have already dropped on the YouTube platform for the Haymaker Network. And I can tell you there's one for Cowboys fans with love with Travis Frederick, with Dirk Nowitzki as well. I can tell you that just yesterday, former Cowboys great Tyrone Crawford graced these studios. He's got thoughts on the team. He's tracking the team. He'll tell you how the D-line's playing from both a 3 technique and a 1 technique position because he played both. They made him move around. He played some defensive end. But there's a big interview with Tyrone Crawford dropping soon. I'll just say that. So make sure you're following the Haymaker Network. Thanks for housing us during the week. Again, at One Star Cowboys Pod on Instagram. We'll talk to you Sunday night or early Monday morning after Cowboys and Vikings here on the One Star Cowboys Podcast. Goodbye.
The One Star Cowboys Podcast. The One Star Cowboys Podcast. The One Star Cowboys Podcast. Presented by Haymaker. Presented by Haymaker. Presented by Haymaker.